Pharm, the Water Ninja, is just about to get released. I think she's the unit with the worst ever timing in War of the Visions history. She is released in between cost 100 units and a limited collaboration. I don't think anyone has the viz for her, but if you do, she is actually a really good pick. Now, she's not time limited, so I don't recommend anybody pull for her right now. I think it's better to eventually unit of choice her and build her if you want her, but if you go for her with viz, you might be missing out on some time limited stuff, which you will have more difficulty building in the long run. So that's the thing. But if we talk about Pharm, I think she is a great unit. Kitone is a ninja with a very different archetype than what Pharm does. Kitone's somebody who's going to limit break someone, disable them, and then just drain force and stay alive for a long time, wasting enemy AP and just generally ignoring defense and eventually killing people. Pharm does not have nearly the same killing potential. She doesn't have any defense penetration and does not have abilities like Drain Force that allows her to survive for a long time. But what she does is she sets up her team very well. She's got abilities that decrease defense, removes guts, removes re-raise. She can increase her teammates' accuracy, AoE resistance. So she's overall a more of a supporter than anything. And then her limit burst, similar to Kitone, is going to paralyze somebody for a while. So it's not as good as Stop, but less people are prepared to resist paralyze than people planning to resist Stop because it's less common, so that's pretty good. Now, let's compare her stats with Kitone, because she's a ninja that actually sees competitive play, and she's very, very good. Now, I did speak about their differences. They don't exactly have the same role, but their stats are very similar. Pharm actually has a little bit more HP than what Kitone has. No Drain Force, though. She's got a little bit less luck, but really, the stats are quite comparable. Almost the same agility. The big edge that Pharm has over Kitone is the extra attack. She's got 574 compared to 400, so that's a pretty big difference. But keep in mind, she does not have any defense penetration, so she's not a killer. She's not going to be one-shotting or two-shotting people. I think she's more of a character that's going to reduce the defense on an enemy, so somebody else can kill them more easily, or she can pick off weaker enemies that are already damaged. But she will not be a damage carry. That is not what she does. She's got negative slash and pierce resistance, which is not great, but positive to all three others, so that's not terrible. And then her 15% magic resistance can actually be enhanced further with one of her abilities, so that is really good. And then Pharm has resistance to silence, which is a waste. She does not have any ability that can be silenced, but disable resist is actually one of the best ones to have, so that's not terrible. You can cover the others with TMRs if you need to. Now, if we look at her passives, she's got two passives that can increase evasion. So if you're running an auto setup, you know you're going to fight characters that don't have guaranteed hits, definitely use those because that will maximize your evasion. Otherwise, for manual play, I would certainly equip Shikuchi. Extra mobility is always important. And then depending on my game plan, if I want to use arrow abilities or not, I would either have Shadow Runner for more evasion or Ranger Lore for the extra point of range, which could make a difference in some matchups. And then in terms of counter abilities, you always want Reflex. If you have Reflex on a unit, you put that passive and you don't even look at the others. So this is what we're putting on her. Now let's look at her main job, and we've seen many ninja main jobs, so we'll go over it quickly, but her version of Shuriken removes re-raise, removes guts, and decreases accuracy. That makes her a great support for Evasion Team. That could be Water Team, but you could also pair her with somebody like Kitone, make Kitone even harder to hit, while you're also removing re-raise and guts before you drain life them to death. So there are some shenanigans that could be done with that. Hide, not that great in general. It's a semi, not that great for her, I guess. She's got the Shadow Binding, which could stop an enemy, but I would likely disable that because I would want her to use the other ability first in priority. Now, that new ability is Dream Within a Dream, so it's a 3-hit slash water chain that's going to decrease defense by 30 and spirit by 30 before dealing damage, and then it has some crit chance upgrade. It is really good, mainly because if somebody else chains with that, no matter what, with decreased defense and spirit, any 3-hit chain, that is going to do crazy damage. And so you can use her as an enabler for almost everyone because any kind of character will benefit from those stats down. So it's a really versatile thing that I think helps Pharm fitting in any kind of team, even if it's not water element. And then her final ability is an AoE buff, so she doesn't necessarily have to run right through the enemy team from turn 1, so I like that from an auto standpoint, but it's also really a good ability. It's got accuracy up 30 for everybody that benefits from the ability, then increased AoE resistance 15, which is not a bad stat to have, and then finally, Pharm's self magic resistance will be increased by 20% to a base of 35 with the 15 she naturally gets, so that's actually a really good ability to add on top of the rest. And then we needed to talk about her limit burst. It's a little bit like Kitone's, in that it has a base 67% chance to inflict a crippling status effect. In that case, it's paralyzed, so you only have 80% chance of the target losing its turn, but on average, they should be losing all 3 turns, so that's really good. And then before dealing damage, it also decreases water resistance by 25%, further increasing her damage or other water units, but as the number is not that high, it's only 25%, I don't think this locks her into being a water team unit. She can work well with other jobs. And then the ninja sub job, I don't think you'll ever really want that unless you're playing some form of shenanigan double quicken farm where you want her to cross the map very quickly to disable somebody in manual play. But in most types of gameplay, I think you're scratching that out and you're playing one of the other 2 sub jobs. Subjob number 1 is the Samurai, and the reason you would want to play that is to increase her variety of slash attacks, give her some options in AoE attacks, because all the ninja main job abilities are single target, so you would have some very small AoE around herself that you could have, and then Illusion, which increases evasion by 25 in an AoE. So with that, she can now decrease the enemy's accuracy and also increase everybody on your team's evasion. That could be a really good sub for evasion support teams. Otherwise, I would likely go for Ranger most of the time, just because of the longer range and the status effects you can do. With Ranger, you can poison somebody, which is really good, you can immobilize someone, and then you have Sharpshoot, which is a guaranteed hit, and she doesn't have any other guaranteed hits in her kit. Do keep in mind, if you're a Ranger, please do not use Vigilance. It is a very, very bad ability to use, especially when you have Utsusemi in your main job, which gives more evasion and doesn't make you squishy or do anything. So scratch that ability from your kit, it does not exist. Now, team comps you could want to run Pharm in. Well, you could run her as a water evasion unit. Now, I'm saying water evasion, but she could actually be in rainbow evasion as well. I just talked about how she could work really well with a Kitone friend, but we do have the units to run a water evasion team if you wanted to. Tidus is rather evadey, he's got the samurai sub, so he can make it work pretty well. Glaciella is also surprisingly evadey. She's got the luck score to dodge quite a few hits, especially if you gear her that way, and with all the vision cards, you could potentially make that work. Otherwise, we have the limited gunner options that are really good at evasion, so if you own both or one of Lara and Winter Victora, they are great together. Lara's going to have natural very high evasion, Victora can blind, and then you can use Pharm to decrease accuracy on top of that, and nobody's ever going to hit you. For that though, you do need the Lara Croft card. Ideally, it's going to give you luck up. You could always run Secrets of the Heart, but you know, it doesn't have as many stats for your ranged attackers, especially since Lara's card increases missile attack. Pharm has missile attack, so she's got natural pairing with that. Otherwise, if you're using slash attacks like Tidus, go for Tsutagidane. It has so good stats, you kind of need it. And then the Craze species is actually pretty good. Physical, Man-Eater, well, Man-Eater on physical attacks is a great thing to have, and the single target resist will save you against most AoE, guaranteed hit attacks in the game, so that's really good for your evasion builds. Then another team comp is Mage Hunter. As I said, she can get to 35% magic resistance, and there are really good water Mage Hunters. Moore has Crazy Spirit, can actually go in fights with 100 Spirit and just completely shut down opposing mages, so if you pair them together, you've got a pretty good synergy here. Aerith can increase everybody's Spirit in an AoE, further increasing Moore's survivability and also Pharm, and just there's Ramada with Spellblade, so you have many things you can do. Again, this can work in a rainbow comp. I'm not limiting Pharm and water, but these are very powerful water comps that could happen. The main issue is how powerful lightning is, but that's something we've known for a long time. So in the end, should players go for Pharm? No, not right now, right? We are probably very low on Viz if you did decide to pull for Oberon and his Esper and VC, and we're just about to get Noctis's release and Aranea's release, which is really good. A short while afterwards, there's going to be the Crystal units with Jum, with Setya, so it is a very tough time, and she is not going to be at a reduced rate, she's not going to be time limited, and so you could naturally get her at some point. I think if you're a player that's very water-oriented and you want her on your team, then sure, she is a great ninja, but in a lot of content you will be shut down by the fact that there's clouds just about everywhere and he's not about to go out, so it's not like you can run her blindly without taking a look at what the enemy teams have. You will be running into some hard counters. If you look at it by game modes, she is not necessary for PvE. There's nothing that she does that nobody else can do. She's got a lot packed in a single kit, but you don't need her for anything. For Arena, if you can target the right team, she will be very, very strong, so I would give her a solid 7 out of 10. For Guild Battle, though, only 4 out of 10, and my reason is There's a lot, again, of clouds or characters with 100% hits, and I think most of her attacks have very short range, and a single cast if you're thinking about her limit break, which is her main asset. So in her first fight, she could rush in, disable somebody, potentially set you up for some other stuff, but after that, she's not all that useful. And then generally for battle number 2, the enemy units will already have used their gusts, their re-raises and whatnot, so you don't need the shuriken to remove them either. So I don't know how much she's useful if you're trying to go for more than 3 stars, and that's usually my go-to. Then manual PvP, really solid unit. She's got great mobility, can cross through the map, can remove some of the most annoying buffs that enemies can have, can set up your other evasion units. So especially as an evasion support or as a annoying water unit, I think she would do great. Then auto PvP, well, you know, you could run into a cloud, rush towards him and just die, so that's going to be very hard. Actually, if there was no Lightning Gunner in the meta for manual, I would probably rate Pharm at 9 or 10, but since they exist, she has to be 8. She can't go any higher than that. So that's going to be it for me. On my end, I am not going to pull for her. Sadly, I'm very, very thrilled for her. I'm hoping to get her with the free tickets, and when I do pull her, or whenever there's a unit of choice tickets, I am getting her and I'm building her right now, but I'm currently low on Viz because I just decided to build Halloween Ryu and get his TMR, so I can't afford to go for her right now, and so I'm gonna skip. So with that said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I know I'm releasing it a little bit later than my usual unit review, lots of stuff on my plate, but if you did, stick it to the end. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.